Bobi Spassov and Cody Lampman have just announced that they've joined forces to create their own brand called Inferno. The promo is out now and features the duo on the streets of London, which is fascinating because it's always really interesting to see an outsider's perspective on a city that is really famous for rollerblading. Bobi hits up some iconic spots like Euston Station, where he manages to find a new way to skate pretty well-known obstacles. And Cody Lampman can be seen hitting up some various spots that have been made famous by multiple London skaters over the years, such as Leon Humphreys, James Bauer. Personal highlights included this gap over the hedge to Seth Slide in, as well as this stale 540 off the bank. I've never been to this brick bank spot with the rails on top, but it looks very awkward to skate, and Bobi Spassov perfectly executes a full cab alley-oop topsoul on it. And this is the most Cody Lampman footage we have seen since he dropped his imposter part on Them Skates YouTube channel, and it is an absolute pleasure to see him street skating again. This alley-oop negative Macchio full cab out was flawless, as was this switch up on the brick transition to rail. And I absolutely love some of the interesting ways he uses obstacles in this, like the way that he kind of launches off the vertical part of a rail. And this full speed true spin Macchio was also beautiful to watch. Bobi Spassov is obviously most well known for being a pro skater for Roses. He has several pro skates to his name. He is also one of the biggest personalities in the sport at the moment. He does phenomenally well at competitions, always appearing in the finals, and he regularly puts out very high quality street parts. As for Cody, he is rollerblading's man in black. He is very well respected within the community, and he has a stack of timeless street sections to his name. Despite the fact that these two have known each other for several years, it does seem like a bit of an unlikely partnership, especially when it comes to a brand, because their styles are very, very different. Bobi regularly changes up his look, sometimes going from huge baggy jeans to tighter fits, and sometimes wearing very outrageous bright colors and then toning it down and going for kind of a more punk or metal look. Whereas Cody has been quite consistent over the years. In fact, I can't even remember the last time I saw him wear a white t-shirt. He is pretty much always clothed head to toe in black. So it'll be pretty interesting to see what these two have got planned, what products they intend to release. Lots of questions. Can't wait to speak to them. I've already interviewed Cody and Bobi before, both for the podcast and for the print publication. So it'll be great to speak to them again. I've got loads I want to know. I'm sure you've got loads you want to know. So let's get into it. Congratulations on the new brand. I think probably the biggest thing people will be surprised about, first of all, is that it's you two who are starting a brand together. So to actually provide some context, how do you two know each other? Because I'm sure, I was trying to remember this, and I'm sure I mentioned to you that you should film a street thing with Bobi when you were living in Georgia.
Maybe. I don't remember. I don't even know the first time we talked, Bobi. I feel like we talked a few times on the internet because you were kind of coming up when I was still skating a lot, and then you were one of the first people that hit me up when I started skating again, which is weird because I didn't tell anybody I was skating or that I even had skates. And I remember you sent me a message when I was in Croatia, and you were like, come, or maybe you saw I was in Croatia and you were like, this is close to Israel, come, I'll give you a pair of roses or something. And I'm like, sick. But we didn't actually meet in person until last year in London, right?
Yeah, something like this. Well, originally I sent Cody some texts online. I guess just telling him that I love his skating and inviting him to come skate together. And I think we were excited about this idea, but it just never happened for some time. And then we met, I think, in the London Jam. It's the first time we met. We swapped a few words. And basically then Cody decided to come to Israel. Like, the invitation was open for like 3 years. And then one time he just, I guess, just took it. And yeah, and he came to Israel to basically help me with the candy project, simultaneously stacking a few clips and just kind of taking photos, and we were just basically hanging out together. And yeah, and it was natural, it was really fun. It was natural. We did the thing, and it felt like, oh, this is really fun, let's do more of it. Basically, that was like this my side of things.
Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of one of those natural things where, we were having a lot of like, those post heavy street sessions where you both skate 10 hours or something, and then you go home, you get showered off, you eat a meal, and then you stay up till 2 a.m. talking about skating, nerding out, watching stuff that you liked from the past. And I feel like we just began having a lot of conversations around like current brands and kind of what we liked, what we didn't like, what we thought was missing. And I have been wanting to do something kind of like this for a couple of years. I almost launched 2 past projects. Both times it didn't feel right. Right, almost right before launch, I would just kind of feel like this isn't right and bail on it. And I knew that Bobi wanted to do something similar, but he kind of wanted to do the side that I wasn't interested in. And being there in Israel and just kind of shooting photos and not filming myself made me realize like maybe it's the right time to do something other than be in front of the lens. So yeah, it just kind of came about like we both want to do something. We both want to do the parts that the other person is not good at. We like filming and skating together. We skate the same kind of spots. Like, let's do it.
So what parts do you not think you're good at that you think Bobi can take care of?
For sure, like social stuff, anything related to clothing and fashion design stuff, because I have one outfit and I wear the same outfit every day. So I'm terrible at that kind of stuff. And also just the kind of like hype stuff and the content stuff that I'm not that good at, and that feels very unnatural for me. I mean, if you look at Bobi and I make 1 part a year and he makes 3 parts a year and also posts consistent content on Instagram. He knows how that kind of stuff that's very natural.
Okay. I mean, well, then there is obviously a difference that is Bobi's job, whereas you have a day job. So it's like there's different responsibilities. So who like first approached who saying, let's do something, let's like try and like start a project?
Good question.
In Israel, I mean, it might have been me, but it's hard for me to recall for 100% if it was me who said like, hey, let's do a brand. I think it was almost like naturally going to that place from the conversations of like talking about brands in general, talking about video production, ideas, Instagram, everything. We covered pretty much everything what we could, what we like less and more. And well, to say like let's say who gave the ring, how do you say it, like who
Proposed. Yeah.
who proposed, yeah, like I'm not sure who proposed, but then potentially it was me, I feel like, in my memories, but I can't even recall it for certainty. And yeah, it was kind of like, yeah, we should do a brand together, we should do something together, it was even just the idea of doing something together without knowing what it is. It was just like, so imagine this, we are in this project, creating things together, working on this project, and we're just really enjoying the process, the skating, the spots, the talks, all approach, and just each other's human being, each other's energy. We are enjoying, and we're thinking like, okay, like would be nice to do more of it in some sort. And I think that's what created the idea that we should kind of find a ways to give it a little structure, not too much, but like some kind of structure. And it's what I do remember for certainty is that when we kind of said like, okay, but if we do something, how it's going to be called. And I do remember telling Cody like, look, I have a name I've been sitting on for years. I just never found the right time to use it. And I was like, the name is Inferno. And he was like, wow, that's a good name. And then we kind of slept on it. He traveled back to Netherlands, and we kept chatting back and forth with like Inferno as a title and anything underneath, kind of going back and forth with ideas until it came to the point that we are now, which is right about launching the whole thing. So I guess we can say it took us a good, like realistically, it took us what, 7 months from conversations to having things figured out, kind of ready to launch. Or
Okay. All right.
Yeah, definitely something like that, because it was not as straightforward as, it wasn't like Bobby was like, oh, I want to start a clothing company. Do you want to do it? It was more just like you said, we were having fun filming and making a project. How can we keep doing this and include other people and make it more inclusive than a lot of the brands right now? Because I remember after he said the name on the flight home, I had my phone open and I was just like, 3.5 hour flight. The whole time I was just ideating in notes, like, okay, well, what do I want to see? What's missing? What's like the brand mission? How is the business structured? I work in tech and like build websites and help start up brands. So I'm really obsessive when it comes to how a business works and the branding of it and everything. So it took us a couple months to figure out what it even looked like. It was more just, let's do something together that celebrates street skating, that anybody can be a part of, where we can make really cool content and also host other people's content and find a way to support it. And yeah, so it was almost like we both got down on one knee and asked the other, will you have me? And we both said yes. Here we are, the wedding.
That's so fucking romantic, Cody. You didn't show me this side of it.
It's beautiful. So it is, right, to be clear, Inferno is going to be a clothing brand, or is there plans to do other things? Like what's the kind of initial ideas that you're going to launch with, and like products you're going to have out?
So before I even say anything, I would like to say that, like, I think that it's something that will develop, and some of the things that we might think it is now might be a little different in the future, right? So we, just as it started as a little idea and developed into what it is now, and it might develop from here to total different directions in the future. From my perspective, and I'm sure Cody will have his perspective as well, and it might not be identical. Well, like you know what I mean, like at the end of the day. But for me, it's like, it's gonna be a skate brand to the most classic, to the most, at least part of it will be a classic skate brand. So it will be like the classic, like, we have items. For now, it's clothes. There's definitely plans to do more than clothes. Even like it could be, I don't know. The dream would be to have a skate one day, but maybe the first we're gonna have a wheel. Maybe we're gonna have for now we have hats and beanies and t-shirts. So like wherever it's gonna go. But I feel like it's gonna be, like I said, like a skate brand in the core of it, but we really want to allow it to expand into different directions, for like, for example, to work with people who likes to write, so they can like make a magazine or like work with us on a magazine. We would like to have like people we know and we love to skate with who also do art, to give them the platform to do artistic stuff, whether it's photography or whether it's I don't know, animation or whatever, like skating brand related art, friends, connections, and just people we admire and we love their whatever they do, to kind of we want this to also be like a bigger platform for this kind of collaborations and working together with different people from the scene and maybe beyond the scene. I don't know, you know, where it's gonna go with kind of like making skate parts and skating related stuff as its core, if that makes sense.
Okay. Yeah, no, I get what you mean. So we joked about it earlier, but I've sometimes thought about your wardrobe, Cody, and I've imagined what it might look like to like go through it. And I'm just picturing 10 black shirts, a couple of trench coats, and 10 black pairs of trousers or jeans. So what the hell possessed you to get involved in a clothing company when you don't ever wear any skate clothes? You wear clothes and you skate in them.
Yeah, I mean, to be clear, upstairs I have a standing clothing rack. I almost said it in Dutch. And I have 5 black t-shirts and 3 pairs of black pants, and that I'm 2 dress shirts, and that's my wardrobe. So for me, and kind of like Bobi explained, the idea essentially is that at the core, we're a media company. So we want to make cool videos like the first one we're releasing now. And we'll do further ones in the future with different scenes. Sometimes it will be just Bobi, sometimes it might be just me, sometimes it might be someone else. And the idea is more that you're buying our stuff, not even necessarily because you think we're the coolest brand or we have really cool clothes, but because you just like the things we make. So almost kind of like how there's a few groups that make VODs. That was sort of an initial idea for us, but I wanted to do something that's able to be a little more consistently supported, you could say. So instead of like dropping Cody and Bobi's VOD once a year, buy it, goodbye, see you in 12 months, it would be more like, here's a platform where we have our own media that we create. We host things by other people that they create that we like. And then you can buy stuff to support us, to help us make more things in the future. So for me, I got involved just because I want to make cool stuff. And I really want to help other skaters that I like who are making cool stuff have a place to put it. So in other words, if we can sort of become a place that you go to see really cool content, know that it isn't just going to be like our crew. There's no team. It's never going to be like just our team. It's going to be almost anybody that wants to be involved. So just kind of like a less clicky place for content, because right now there really isn't too many people that are doing that. You know, like we have you and we have BMAG and we have One Mag, but a lot of them aren't producing original content. And so we just kind of want to be like, yeah, a place where we can help younger skaters that we like have a platform essentially to get their skating out there, and also where we can kind of make cool stuff. So for me, it was more, again, why I wanted to link with Bobi, because it's like, I want to have a place to make things and help my friends share their stuff. And you want to have a clothing company, these things can work together. So let's do it. And of course, I may even wear an Inferno sweater with a logo on it. I mean, you never know.
This is going to be like that situation with Dustin Latimer and Medium Smell the Glove, where Shane Coburn was like, Dustin did not wear a single medium shirt throughout this entire video.
No. My big thing is like, I just don't like to waste stuff, and I don't like I only like to own stuff that I can wear like in every situation. So when Bobi wanted to do this too and wanted to do like higher quality stuff, then that's also when I was like, okay, I can get behind that, because then we're making things that are actually like decent and good and worth buying and wearing for a long time. So Yeah, I know it's kind of a strange matchup when you think about it, but I think that as it grows and it becomes more clear, kind of our vision is it will make perfect sense why we're the two working together on it.
All right. You mentioned like wanting to give other skaters a platform, or like you obviously have people in mind that you are fans of their approach to skating. Have you reached out to anyone yet and mentioned this like project and been like, we would like you to be involved in this? Or are there any names that you could give so far that you're like, we hope to be showcasing them in the future or featuring them?
I mean, I did definitely. One is Omri,
Omri Bomb, okay.
because it's Omri, you know. And also when we were in Israel, Omri was also hanging out with us, and there was a really nice connection. Also, I don't want to speak in Cody's name, but I felt like there was also a really nice connection between Omri and Cody, so that feels natural. As you know, I'm quite like aware of the scene, and I kind of follow a lot of kids, so I definitely have like quite a few people that I really like, younger kids that I really like what they do, that I would like to get them involved. But just like Cody said, maybe I mean, Cody said never gonna have a team. I'm saying like and again, this is really nice because we really have maybe not identical ideas, but we really, I believe like the reason why this is work to begin with is because we complement each other with our differences, rather than having two people doing the exact same job. Sometimes, like you cannot build on top of that. So yeah, I approached just the other day, I approached another young Polish kid that I really, really like. But I don't want to say too much because, I'd rather not say things before they are actually like coming to life. You know what I mean? So, um, definitely will be ideal to feature one way or another skaters that we believe in what they do, and we would like to support them one way or another, whether it's just some free stuff or give them the platform. Because for some of these skaters, even just coming to skate with us for a project could be a great like exposure for them to bring their potential. And this is, I think, part of the missions that we will like to, go after, basically.
All right. Okay. Um, who came up with the like logo and the branding for it? Whose idea was that?
We worked together on it, the concept of it, of course, and we both had equal input, but my partner helped me develop it. She's a brand designer. And so for the most part, I built the visual brand and the website and stuff like that. But of course, it was a matter of talking with Bobi every day on WhatsApp and going through a lot of ideation to kind of figure out that what we wanted to be and what we wanted to represent. Yeah.
Right. Bobi was saying you were also responsible you wanted to take charge of editing the promo that you guys have. I mean, by now it'll have been released. Like, did you have like a specific like idea in mind of how you wanted it to look, or what you wanted to create, or what you were going for?
Yeah, definitely. Bobi and our filmer, Eric Pilch, who is an incredible filmer and skater, they both had to learn the hard way during this project why I only make one thing a year, which is because I have such an insane vision that I am the worst person to work with. So it's my editing way or the highway, essentially. But I definitely had a vibe, of course, because for me, when I make a section, like I've said before, I need to know what I want it to feel like, or else I don't even want to make it. So I actually knew the song ahead of time, and I would listen to it, like picture, okay, it will feel like this here, and then Bobi will do something here, and it'll kind of build to this end that will be like this. And oddly enough, I knew the trailer song too first, which I found, and immediately before we started filming was thinking, okay, it will open with photos like this. And then of course, anytime you have a vision for a skate park, I mean, it has to ebb and flow because the footage is never what you think it's going to be, even if you know every trick ahead of time. But yeah, it was a pretty quick process, though. I think we only filmed like 7 or 8 days total for the whole thing, really. And then I edited a rough draft of it while I was on the train back from London, and then it was pretty much done. I mean, it was done in June or July, I think, but then my dad passed away. So then we kind of like put everything on hold and put it all away for a few months, and then just came back to it a couple months ago to kind of start finishing everything up. So I handled the editing, but of course, with a huge amount of input from Bobby and Eric, and a lot of small changes and fixes and everything. I feel like we had a shared vision for it, but I was the director who was awful to work with and demanded certain things.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Also, very sorry to hear about your dad. I know, yeah, I know the feeling of losing a parent, and it's not pleasant. That's crazy that you guys made it in such a small space of time, because you like it's got a lot of footage in it. I didn't think it was made that quickly. That is quite surprising. What was it? I guess this is a question for both of you guys. What was it like to skate in London? Because you obviously skated some of the spots I've not seen before, and I've obviously watched a ton of London sections, but there's obviously some quite iconic spots in there as well. There's like Euston Station or Bank Station, or the concrete transition to like rails that you guys were both skating, or the brick spot like way out in the sticks. I can't even remember what that place is called, but like quite a few of those spots are like big UK skaters have made their mark on those places. So what was it like when you finally got to tackle it yourselves?
Well, glad that there was some new stuff in there. I was kind of worried that the whole thing was going to be us like unknowingly doing already been dones, but even if a few slipped in there, that's okay. I mean, I've always really liked skating London. I think the thing that we really lucked out with this time is that we both kind of like knew ahead of time a bunch of spots that we wanted to go to. Of course, we did our homework, watched like every bank, talked with Leon, talked with all the guys. But then we also kind of had an equal amount of days of just like scraping around. Like Bobby got a bunch of his bangers right the day before I left. So the next day I was like, I need a few clips before I get on the train. So Eric, let's get up at 8 a.m. and just skate around the neighborhood and I'll find some tricks. So I like found my last 3 tricks in the edit, just skating around the neighborhood looking for random stuff, which I think probably worked out in our favor. If we got any interesting spots in there, that's the only reason why.
Right. Okay.
And biking too, I guess we did quite a bit of, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, there's inevitably going to be, especially when you're not from a place, you're going to stumble upon better known spots and end up doing tricks someone's done on it before. It's kind of impossible for that to not happen unless you've like memorized every trick that's happened on that particular obstacle and went, right, avoid those. That kind of goes without saying, but I don't think kind of dampens the effect of the section. And you guys both had some great Bobby's obviously at I love how you even reminded me of it. You were like, oh, what did you think of my full cab alley up top? So I was like, yes, we get it. It was hard. We understand. But even the stuff at Euston Station, or like you with the like lightning speed true spin Macchio on the ledge, or like the alley-oop negative Macchio full cab out, like stuff like that. Or even
my favorite trick, by the way, the alley-oop negative Macchio 360 out. I was so
see, I was thinking that, but then I actually prefer I like the one where you use like the vertical part of the rail as like a kind of launch, like you kick off the bank and like slap the rail on the way up. And I was like, that you don't see that many people. It's almost like a skateboard move, but not. But like you couldn't do that on that spot on a skateboard. So it's like, yeah.
Yeah, that was harder than it looked. I also think Bobby and I just like I don't know, we skate well together. Like we have very different skills, you know. And like that day you're mentioning, where I did the negative Machio and the true Machio, it was like I just watched Bobby go and handle like 3 big bangers, no problem, like not even thinking about it. And I'm just like, dude, now I gotta get a clip. Like, come on, let's go, man. And normally I film alone, so I don't really get this feeling. So then when we came across that one, it was like, okay, now I have to do this. Like, I got to get a trick on this. So I feel like we were really feeding off of each other, of course, which kind of helped you squeeze that last bit of energy, especially when you've been skating for a week and you've both been eating shit in your body, you know, but you're like, oh, my boy's got 5 more clips to me. Let's go. We got to get 3.
That's what I was going to ask. Like, did it get to the point where you're being like competitive? Because you're obviously editing the footage together, and you're like, wait a minute. By my count, he's got quite a few more tricks than me now. I need to pull this back in my favor. Like, yeah.
I think it's very natural to have a little bit of competitiveness within this kind of spectrum of skating, and in general I think it's also quite healthy, you know, if you take it the right way, if you enjoy it, if you see it for what it is and you accept it for what it is and you feed off it, and it's like, oh, it makes me better, you know. So it's a competition, but in the most healthy way possible. And in that sense, I believe we definitely, well, I can say only for myself, there's definitely in that, because when Cody does something sick, I'm like, I'm inspired, you know, and I want to also do something sick, and I want to, you know, but then again, like, it's a little nicer that we have quite a different skill set. So it's almost like you know, we're not gonna do the same trick on the same spot.
Yeah.
We're gonna skate the same spot, but we're not gonna do the same trick. And in that way, it's kind of like, what is actually the contest, because it's like he's gonna do something completely different, I'm gonna, so it complements each other and it feeds off each other. And yeah, I really enjoyed it. You asked about the editing part. I think we did kind of need to go through and see, like, pretty much that it feels equal, you know, because at the end of the day, one day you have a little more clips, the other days the friend you're working with have more clips, and it's always good to kind of try and, you know, put it right down the middle and make sure that we both get like a nice exposure. I can say from my personal perspective, when Cody showed me the video, when it was like kind of all put together, I felt equally exposed, and I felt good about my clips, and I felt good about his clips, and I had no complaints aside from one clip I didn't like, and I wanted to exchange with another clip that, you know, one of them would have to go throw away. This is like literally the only change I made. Like, so.
Yeah, it almost wasn't even like a competition is the wrong word. I feel like when towards the end, I would watch it and be like, this is sick. And I know what I need to do to help make it even sicker. You know, like he's got enough. Now I need more so I can do my part to like lift it up. Definitely was a very interesting process. I don't think I've ever made a split part before. So yeah, there was one other thing I was going to say about the process from it that I thought was interesting, but now I can't remember what it was. Just kind of like Bobby said, I mean, he's just such a different skater for me. Like he'll handle a huge spot without even thinking about it. And I won't even like consider touching it. And then we'll find some stupid little like bank to a wall rail and I'm all about it. And he doesn't know what to do with it. So I don't think we ever had a spot where we like argued over who was going to do it or something. You know, I think we actually struggled to even like skate the same spots a couple of times because we were both like, all right, we got to have a few where we like both do a clip on it. But yeah, it was really fun and it came together really easily, which is always nice with an edit.
How annoyed are you that you didn't find more wall rails in London? Because I know that's your fetish.
I'm trying to stay away from them, so gladly no. I love skating in London though. All the spots are so like weird and lots of weird little bumps into things, and I don't know, very very unique city.
All right. Okay. Apart from the weather, were there any like negatives? Because London can be, in addition to having like new stuff all the time, London can be quite hard to like navigate around. And then you're competing with like, in some areas, it just being intensely busy. The ground isn't always great in certain areas. Like what was the like experience of that for you two guys?
I think we had it pretty easy. We didn't really get kicked out too much. We got rained out like once or twice, but I feel like the only sobering, like humbling time we had was at that spot with the red banks where Bobby got 3 clips and I couldn't even figure out like a single one. I don't know what it's called. With the steep bank.
Is it Turnpike Station?
Turnpike Station, yeah.
Yeah, I've waited my like whole life to go there, you know, like seeing clips of people and being like, oh, this is for me, you know, I'm gonna come up with some weird stuff. And I think we were there for like 5 hours and finally I just had to be like, I got nothing, like let's go.
And to make it clear, I got my first clip after 3 hours of being there. So it wasn't like it wasn't like I just came there and was like, oh, I came there and I thought I'm gonna trash this place. But when the skates were on, I was like, Jesus, this is hard and I don't know what to do here. And specifically that spot, I saw a lot of tricks being done then. So it was really, really hard to kind of find a way to do something even remotely close to different than what has been done, which essentially I think I didn't do anything that special in comparison to what has been done in the history, which is also something about London in general. It has such a big history of skating that, you know, but then like it is something that I personally try to stay away from, is like, oh, someone did hear something, so I should just not skate it. You know, like I understand it, but at the same time, it's like, this is like, if I try to simplify it, I'm out here with skates on. This is my skill set. We have a camera. I want to have fun and create a trick here. The list of what happened there should not be, you know, like I can consider it, but it really shouldn't be a factor, because this is now, you know, we are here, we are now, we're doing it. It's a 7 days trip. There is no, if I would start like fucking about who did what, I will not even put my skate for the whole week, because everybody skated here one way or another at some point, you know. And I try to stay away from it. It's kind of like, for me, it's kind of like just continuing a paint rather than thinking about it as like, oh, I need to find a completely different wall to, you know.
Yeah, and I think we both knew, because of the timeline, we were thinking, like we kept telling each other every day, like, this is not a section. Like, this is not our master part. Just skate fast. It's just you and me skating London, having fun. If it's been skated before, that's fine. This isn't like our pro edit. It is essentially just Cody and Bobby skating around London for 7 days. Here's what you get, which I think took a lot of the pressure off for sure. But we did have one really cool moment where we, you know, that spot where I think Ollie did it's like the rail down a set of stairs and it's got a pole at each end, and Ollie did like a fish brain on it and faced the music, and Brothgow did like a top acid to pole bonk on it.
Yeah, I do know what you mean. It's not London Bridge. It's like just a little bit further along.
Yeah, we were there skating, and I was filming Bobby do a line. I was filming at long lens, and someone started talking to me behind me. They were like, "What are you filming for?" And I was like, "Oh, you know, great. Some nerd's gonna be like bothering me while I'm trying to film long lens, and I suck at long lens." And I was like, "Oh, just like YouTube." And the person, I didn't look, and the person said, "Oh, is this for Roses? Is that Bobi Spassov?" And I was like, "Huh." And I turned around, and it was Ollie Short. He was just walking.
What?
It was so weird.
What?
Yeah, yeah. And so then we talked to him for a while. I told my friends in the States, nobody believed it when I told them, but I kept filming after Bobby did the trick and I pan over to Ollie. It was just like the most quintessential London skate thing that could possibly happen. And we were at a spot that he skated too, you know, so it was like,
Yeah.
it was really cool.
Yeah. Because also, yeah, if you look over that set of stairs, there's a ledge spot, and then he skates that ledge spot in the Heat Team video as well. So it's like there's like two things going on there. That is so random and awesome. That's hilarious. I love that. Yeah, that's great. Because Ollie's a mysterious. He's a hard guy to pin down. Like I lived in London for a year and a half and never met him.
You don't find Ollie finds you, bro.
That's
how
that
it
appears
goes.
to be the case. Yeah. That's brilliant. So wait a minute, is that footage in the B-roll folder in that Google Drive you sent me? Because if it is, when this conversation is over, I'm going to look at that.
It should be.
Yeah, there's also like we're gonna put out like a week after release or something, just like a B-roll video. I think it's like 30 minutes of raw footage, and it's in there too. Like it's when he's doing that line where he does where Bobby does it's like
total kind of
top acid or something.
Connection to top acid something. It wasn't in the video. It didn't make the original cut, but it's in the B-roll. And I think did you film Ollie? I think you filmed Ollie, right? At the end of the
You do
last.
the trick and I pan over and he's like
Yeah.
watching.
Yeah. So there's a little bit of that, yeah.